This is the synthetic signal report for Monday, March 16, 2026, in the afternoon. Today we examine a critical security failure at Qihoo 360 involving a leaked secure sockets layer key. Nvidia's launch of the Vera 88-core processor for agentic artificial intelligence, and a massive remote device wipe at the medical technology giant Stryker. We also tracked a federal judge's decision to stall Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s vaccine policy overhaul, Meta's $2 billion lobbying effort for invasive age verification tech, and Hua Hong's shift into 7-nanometer chip production. Finally, we look at the total collapse of the power grid in Cuba and new research into why language models fall victim to role confusion. A critical security failure has occurred within a new artificial intelligence product from Qihoo 360. The platform leaked its own secure sockets layer key, which is the fundamental component used to encrypt and verify web traffic. In a startling detail, the key was issued by Qihoo's own certificate authority. This specific authority was already banned by major web browsers several years ago due to a history of fraud. This leak effectively allows an unauthorized actor to impersonate Qihoo's artificial intelligence platform and intercept sensitive data. Because the platform used an untrusted authority to sign its own keys, it bypassed the standard safety checks intended to prevent this level of exposure. This incident highlights a systemic failure in the trust architecture of one of the world's largest security firms. Nvidia has officially launched the Vera processor, a new 88-core unit purpose-built for the era of agentic artificial intelligence. Announced at the GTC conference, the Vera chip is designed to move beyond traditional processing by focusing on high-throughput tasks required for autonomous agents. The architecture is built around Nvidia's Olympus cores, which provide a 50% performance gain over standard data center processors. The most significant technical detail is the new Vera rack system. It features 256 liquid-cooled chips that deliver a 6 times increase in total processor throughput. This move marks Nvidia's aggressive entry into the data center processor market, directly competing with the long-standing dominance of Intel and AMD. Interestingly, Intel's Xeon 6 has been selected as the host processor for Nvidia's Rubin systems, showing that while Nvidia is building its own chips, the hardware ecosystem remains deeply interconnected. Jensen Huang predicts that Nvidia will sell $1 trillion of this specialized hardware through 2027. The medical technology giant Stryker is recovering from a massive internal incident that resulted in the remote wiping of tens of thousands of employee devices. Analysts have confirmed that no malware was used in the attack. Instead, the intruders gained access to Stryker's internal Microsoft environment. Once inside, they leveraged the management plane to issue wipe commands to the entire fleet of laptops and mobile units. This incident demonstrates a growing trend where attackers target the systems used to manage a network rather than the individual devices themselves. By compromising the central control system, they achieved a total operational shutdown without ever needing to deploy traditional viruses or ransomware. In the United States, a federal judge has stalled a major effort by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to remake national vaccine policy. The ruling prevents the immediate implementation of several key changes to how vaccines are regulated and promoted. The judge's decision focuses on the procedural requirements for changing established health standards, arguing that the proposed overhaul lacked the necessary scientific review period. Meanwhile, a report has identified Meta as the primary force behind a $2 billion lobbying campaign for invasive age verification technology. The technology is designed to verify the identities of social media users through biometric or third-party data. While Meta frames this as a safety initiative, privacy advocates argue it is an attempt to normalize mass data collection under the guise of child protection. This follows news that China's second-largest chip maker, Hua Hong, is readying production lines for 7-nanometer chips. This is a critical milestone for the country's drive for semiconductor self-sufficiency, as it allows domestic firms to produce high-end silicon without relying on restricted foreign equipment. A signal from the future has emerged from the research community regarding why language models remain vulnerable to prompt injection. The study, titled Prompt Injection as Role Confusion, suggests that models do not fail because they are fooled by a clever trick. Instead, they fail because they infer the role of a speaker based on how the text is written, rather than where the data originated. Researchers developed role probes to see how a model internally identifies who is speaking. They found that models treat untrusted text as a legitimate instruction if the tone matches an authorized user. This reveals a fundamental flaw in the way artificial intelligence parses context. It suggests that until models can strictly separate data sources from the text content itself, they will always be susceptible to malicious instructions hidden in external data. Community sentiment is focused on the rapid evolution of privacy-focused financial tools. The P2P Monero ecosystem is seeing a surge in use across Europe as new regulations push exchanges towards stricter identity checks. Traders are increasingly moving to cash by mail and face-to-face transactions to avoid data trails. We are also tracking two new tools gaining traction on GitHub. The first is PaperDL, which allows for local artificial intelligence analysis of scientific literature. The second is BlueKit Pro, an assistant for educational games that integrates Claude. The security community is also patching several vulnerabilities. The Mattermost platform has released updates for a flaw in its team member roles API that allowed unauthorized emotions. There is also a command injection vulnerability in the Cuba CTL MCP server that allows for arbitrary shell execution. Additionally, Zwick Roll has patched a local file inclusion bug in its test data management server. Finally, we are monitoring a total collapse of the power system in Cuba, which has left the country in a complete blackout following failure of its primary generation plants. This highlights the fragility of physical infrastructure in the face of economic and technical strain. This concludes the synthetic signal report for this afternoon.